What is going on YouTube? Dr. Way here. This video is going to be, I think it's 10 tips, but it's honestly way more than 10 tips about how to, get the best value as a new player. And some of these tips are even relevant for players who have been playing since, day one and their account is 3 years old. It's still relevant, right? Some of these tips. The first couple of tips are going to be definitely geared towards free to play only. But as we, go down the list, there will be more and more things that are relevant for early, mid, and late game players. And the first thing that I'm going to say is make a jumper account. That's the first tip. And what a jumper account basically is when you'll start in a kingdom, like this very young kingdom. This is, I can zoom out probably to show. It's taking forever to scroll. Okay, this is kingdom like 27, right? 87, right? Okay, this kingdom is currently 3 days old. So normally you would go to like a kingdom like this. It's only been around for 1 day. You might even get there earlier than that, right? And then you'll take advantage of this thing called a beginners. I'm going to everything but the beginners immigration. You can use this thing called beginners immigration. And what it allows you to do is you can go to another basically beginner kingdom. And as long as you use this within the 10-day period, this is eight days and 22 hours because I make this account like yesterday or so. And basically it allows you to train troops, get to City Hall level 7. You have to stay below City Hall 8. So City Hall 7, upgrade all your buildings, get troops, and basically have a close to a 8 to 9 day lead. You don't want to usually wait to the full 10 days, but eight to about 9 days of all that stuff. So now you're starting off in a kingdom, really high power in comparison to rest of the other players. 8 days is a massive amount of time in the early game, and it makes yourself more attractive to better alliances, new alliances, in that kingdom. So now, my next piece of advice would be because the reason you make a jumper account is to get a head start and ultimately to become a part of a top alliance, which is the second tip. Get into a number 1 to 3 alliance. Right now, I can't see the best alliances through the rankings because I'm not City Hall 8. They do that on purpose. But what I can do is I can join and just kind of see like who are the top powers. So clearly this right here, LC7 League of Champions, they would be definitely a top alliance. That you see they already got Academy of Farm, they got recruitment, this, that, and the third. They look relatively organized, right, and high power in comparison to some of the other options. I think the highest power. Next would be Noximus, right? They would be a top alliance, and then VN7 and WS7 seem pretty comparable as well. But if you could, this is significantly more power than even the third alliance, but it's too early to tell. Activity, can definitely go up and go down, but you want to get into a top alliance mainly because it's going to give you they normally are more organized. They have usually they're more experienced players that have done this type of thing before, have played the game for a while. There will be spenders, so you'll get alliance chests. There's more activity. It'll be overall better growth for your account, and that's why it's crucial that you get into a very good alliance early on, or the best alliance that you can get into in the beginning of the game. Okay, so those are the two most beginner tips, and I wanted to make a new account for no other reason but to just show you that. So now I'll go to my main account here, and I'll finish up with the rest of the tips. And the next tip is to rush to City Hall 21 at the beginning of the game. And I believe at 21 you get access to T5. I'm pretty sure. I mean T4. Excuse me. Ooh, not T5. T4. It might be 23. I'm pretty sure it's City Hall 21. I'm not 100% sure. Somebody in the chat can tell me, but I'm pretty sure it's 21. Um, and then you want to rush it. So tech wise, you want to do the bare minimum. You don't have to. You probably only have to get these to like one, get this to like one, and then you can get T4 as quickly as you can. Now, I would, if possible, try to work on masonry because that's really important. Writing because that'll reduce your research cost. Engineering and mathematics. I always recommend you work on that, right? And then for buildings, right, you want to do the bare minimum requirements. So maybe I could have showed you it on the other account, but like sometimes in order to upgrade your city hall, you might have to, upgrade your archery range, or you have to upgrade your alliance center, or upgrade a hospital or something like that. And they might have prerequisites as well. You want to do is very little to get to the next city hall level, especially until you hit 21, because it's so important to get those T4 so you can start training troops 24/7, which is the next tip, right? But we'll get to that in a second. So there are certain buildings that I would still recommend that you upgrade as fast as you can. Like Alliance Center offers helps, which each help can reduce your the time it takes to make upgrade buildings and do research. So I think the Alliance Center is still a super important building. By the same token, every time you upgrade your academy, you get new research, and you should also speed up your academy when you're upgrading it to the next level, because while you're upgrading, you can't do research. So you want to make sure that you're up, speeding that up, because you're I'm losing my train of thought. But basically, your speed ups are doing double duty because they're allowing you to upgrade the academy and start researching faster. By the same token, I always sped up my barracks and my other troop training buildings. I didn't really care so much about siege, but to a certain degree, siege as well, because you can't train troops if this building is upgrading. So your speed ups are doing double duty when you're using building speed ups to upgrade your troop buildings. Okay. But like generally speaking, those are the only buildings that I would go out of my way to upgrade ahead of time, because those buildings give massive benefits to your account as a whole, even if it might take a little bit longer to get to the next city hall level, especially the academy. Oh my God, you want to keep this on par as soon as you can. It's very good. Okay, mainly also because you get research bonus every single time you level it up. So it's a lot of benefit to doing that. Okay, so the next thing is the tip 4 is troop training. So what I do is that I don't want to be online all day, but once you get to the point where you can train T4 troops, it gets pretty easy to manipulate when your troops are done. So what I personally do is that I'm going to be online at 8 a.m. before I go to work, and I'm going to be online at 8 p.m. a little bit after I get off of work. So I'm always going to be online at those times. I know that. So I manipulate it so when it's that time, 3 hours from now is 3 hours and 21 minutes from now is basically 8 o'clock, almost like 7:50 or whatever, right? I'm going to be online. So now I've only wasted 10 minutes of time I wasn't training troops. So I'm very close to 24 training troops 24/7. And it takes you so long to get a march of troops. I think with very low, modest training speed, it takes like 20 something days to train up 200K T4 troops. I mean, if you're not using speed ups, it takes a while. So using as much time for free is best. And over the course of a year of playing, you'll definitely see benefits to an account that's doing this as opposed to not doing it. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of troops at that point. Hundreds of thousands of troops being trained that wouldn't have been trained if you weren't doing this. Okay, super relevant for the long term benefit of your account. Now, the fifth tip is to use peacekeeping commanders. My own alliance has issues with this, where they're out there hunting and they're not using peacekeepers. All these guys, they're peacekeepers, and not only I'll show you some builds. Not only do they give you experience, right? Extra experience in the skill tree, reduces your AP that you're using, give you resources, all that good junk, right? You're also able to like level up 2 commanders at once, and then you never have to put XP tomes into your peacekeepers because you're using them, leveling them up, and they're good for multitude of different reasons, mainly for the ones I just described, right? And then you get I would never put XP tomes into these guys. Like Minamoto got all the way to 60, just me hunting barbs. Shit, I think even Richard, because I used him as a secondary for a long time, completely level 60, just barbs, straight up. And a lot of the commanders were the same way. So it's a really good way to get value over the long term for your account, especially just getting the resources. Like these come from me hunting barbs, these resources. I don't know how many odd resources it is. I know it's a few hundred, probably 100 million or so. Okay. So definitely use peacekeepers with peacekeeping talents. That's the key. If you're not using peacekeeping talents, you won't get all of the bonuses. So peacekeeping talents as well. And then this is more of an early game thing, but upgrade your fucking your gathering commanders. So what a lot of people do, and I think this is more of a late game mistake, they try to level up like their Cleopatra, the Sundiak and stuff. It doesn't matter. All you need is 5 primary gathering commanders, right? So you have enough lower tier ones to do that, like Gaius, really less XP because they're, blue and green commanders, right? You got your Gaius, your Centurion, who is like literally the cheapest to upgrade to 40. You can even do 37 if you want, but 40 gives you 30% march speed. I like that. You got Sarka as well, Constance, and then you just need one more commander. So you can use anyone else, but I decided to use Jonah Arc, right? And I just use those as primary gatherers. Everybody else can be just 4 stars or 2 stars or whatever star allows them to get the most, gathering speed. At some point, you expertise, that's way down the road, and then you'll get resources complete. Added tip. I think that the best person to put in a gold pit is Constance, because you get 10% resource complete gather. You get 10% more resources upon completion of the gathering. I think her combined with Matilda. Constance with Matilda, that's better. Gives you 20% more resources. That's insane in a gold pit. They don't even gather gold. That's not even an important part. It's the fact you're just getting 20% more of it. So for me, like, I want the gathering speed. I think you get more having less gathering speed and just getting that, because at the point of the game that I'm at, my gathering speed is already over 300%. Like, an extra 20% isn't going to like make or break it, but 20% more resources, it's just 20% more resources. There's no diminishing returns on that, right? By the same token, like once you get Sundiak expertise, then replace Matilda, because then you would actually get 30% gathering speed for your gold. Okay, so I've covered that. Now the 7th one is to participate in all the events for max rewards, right? So you have like Mighty Army, where you have to train 10k units. What I like to do is just train T2, right? I'll train 2k T2 each troop training building, and then I'll train T4 to get the rest, right? You definitely want to gather. If you're not gathering every day, getting all these rewards, all of these start to add up over time. Do your champs, which isn't here because the season has ended. I would say even do Mightiest Governor just to get you know, the key. Yeah, just the keys, a little bit of gems, 2 stars. You know, it might be worth it to you, maybe not. I like to do it. I'll probably do this here in a second. Just go ahead and speed up shit, I'll do it now. It's not that big of a deal. I'll speed this up. So I'm pretty much done with my research. Usually I would get a buff or whatever, but it's not that big of a deal. At this point, it doesn't matter. Okay. Go ahead and do all the events, right? Whatever. Now with gem events, you definitely want to save your gems for things that you want. Edward isn't a commander I want, so I don't spend. I think it's like if it's a commander, you won't at least spend the 10. It's super cheap and very cost effective. It only takes like 4,400 gems or something if you like use the free spins and the 50% off spins and stuff as much as you can. So I recommend doing certain events. The egg event is also good as well. Okay, participate in all events for max rewards. Now 8 is save your legendary commander sculptures, and by extension, don't use them on gold key commanders. So any commander you can get from a gold key, and I'll show you every single one that is here. Yeah, all of these commanders you can get from gold keys. All these legendary commanders you get from gold keys. At some point, and it might take 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever. It takes forever, right? But you will eventually get these commanders' expertise. And once you do, all of those extra sculptures that you get from them don't mean anything, right? So you want to make sure, and then most of these commanders don't hold up in the end game as much, and some of them are gathering commanders, right? So you don't actually, you know, necessarily have to have these commanders' expertise to may have a good account. And most of these commanders, although there are relics that improve them in the Season of Conquest in the late game, there's going to be commanders that you can invest in that are way better anyways, right? So just get them from the gold keys. And to give you a benchmark, I'm a medium spender, right? VIP 15. I get quite a bit of gold keys just to, and then this is, I'm gonna show you where my some of my commanders are at. 5532, 5552, 5523, 5412. These guys are a little bit better. You know, 5512. You know, so you see, I'm 55 something something after basically a little bit over a year played and medium spending. So for free to play, it's gonna be a little bit less, well, a little bit more, but that's about what you get for a year, right? Boom. Okay. And what you want to do is save your golden sculptures, right, for the commanders that you can only get in very limited places. So like an MGE commander, a wheel commander, once you spawn a decent amount of wheels. For Season of Conquest, the wheel always comes back. So you have to think about, when do you want to go ahead and just expertise, or do you want to keep spinning the wheel, you know, until you get them expertise? If you wait for the wheel, it'll take longer, but those are some things you want to think about. Like, I think in the early game, you definitely want to spend as many Alex wheels as possible, and then expertise. In my case, I spent the wheel 3 times, got 192 sculptures, and then right after his last wheel spin, I used the 498 sculptures to expertise. And if you're not actively fighting, you can just wait until you have a KVK fight, and then at that point, invest, right? Just in case you change your mind or something else you want to do. But I don't think Alexander is a bad investment. So that's what I would do with the legendary sculptures. Just save them, right, until you ready. This is relevant for late game, but I think a lot of early game people put a lot of weight to it, which is, you know, choose a good civilization. So let's pull up the civilizations real quick. See where we're trying to. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to make this very easy for you. XP is important in the early game. Maybe you go Britain, right? And then once you'll get one free switch, and then maybe you go Britain just for Boudica to get the she gives you 20% experience when hunting barbs. You'll get training speed, and then you can switch to China if you want the build speed and AP recovery and the defense, or you just switch to Germany to get the training speed and even more recovery than China. Like either one is fine. And then at some point you switch off of China and end up going Germany anyway. So some people just say, "I'll skip China altogether, so I don't have to waste, spending 2,000 credits on a swap and crap, and just go Germany." Gotta do the stupid verification. Bear with me now, folks. I keep forgetting exactly where it's at. Okay, here. Right. Those are the only ones I can really recommend. I don't recommend anything else when you're first starting out. I think those are the better ones. I don't want to go into a whole rant with this part, but I'll just show you some noteworthy ones. Ottoman Empire, even though it's mainly archers, the troop march speed is relevant for all troop types. Very good for fighting. 5% more skill damage, especially in a murder ball where everybody's just trying to do skill damage, is super good. And if you're bringing an archer march to the field, there's no downside to having archer health, the best stat in the game, and then an archer special unit that's also pretty good as well. Ottoman, if you're just a generalist, like if you didn't know what to do, but you wanted to just do more damage and have more effectiveness on the open field, I think Ottoman is great. If you're running rallies, especially cav rallies, Arabia is insane, right? And it's really good for cavalry as well, right? But if you're bringing lots of different marches, maybe like to like a 2-2-1 configuration or something like that, I think Ottoman is better, especially if this is like open field for sure, right? If you're more of an infantry focused account, a lot of people really like Rome. March speed is good, defense is good, legionaries are super good. They give a lot of extra defense, and you're getting 5% more defense. Okay. France actually has a very impressive special unit for infantry. Troop health is good for all troop types, and a hospital healing speed is relevant if you're a major fighter. Fine. I'm liking the way that the Vikings look. Vikings is a good special unit, and they have counterattack and infantry attack. So that's offering a little bit more stats than some other infantry focused. Some more infantry, it's offering more stats than some infantry focused civilizations. Man, I couldn't get it out. I need to eat something. Jesus. Okay. I think Germany is okay just to like stay on. A lot of people just straight up just stay on Germany forever. I mean, I haven't switched to Ottoman in forever. I've just been using Germany, and that's okay. Sometimes you can just pick Germany. Germany is the best civilization for peacetime for sure. In the late game, and then once you get to the point where you want to fight in KVK, get something better, I think Rome or Vikings, or France, depending on the circumstances, especially if you're using a lot of infantry, it's very relevant. They have different downsides and benefits. If you're cavalry, just either stick with Germany or go Arabia if you're rallying. If you're doing like anything else, just do Ottoman Empire for fighting, right? I wouldn't do, we talked about China in the early game. We talked about Britain for the early game, but I wouldn't do Korea. Ottoman's better. Wouldn't go Spain. Arabia and Germany are better. Wouldn't go Byzantium for the same reasons. As the Spain and Ottoman, you just go Ottoman like at that point, or Arabia if you really just want the cavalry and you're rallying, right? So I don't think Byzantium, Spain, Korea, Japan is good for a farm account, I guess, because of gathering speed. But yeah, just ignore all the other ones. So I'm gonna try to make this really clear right quick. If you just want one, pick Germany and stick with it. If you don't never want to change, right? In the early game, Britain and China can be noteworthy. Rome, France, or Vikings for infantry, right? If you want just generally good fighting or archer specific, Ottoman. If you're rallying or you just want cavalry, special unit, go Arabia. Okay. Simple as that. I don't even want to make that more confusing, but I know that's going to be a big part of it, right? So I wanted to really take my time and explain that. And then my last piece of advice isn't even necessarily Rise of Kingdoms advice, just for video games in general. Like, this game can be extremely stressful, right? With especially if you're, playing it every day, trying to get your power up, trying to figure out how to play the game. There's so much information. Just take a fucking break. Like, there's so many people who, play this game and they get caught up in all the like the kingdom stuff, this and that, and they just don't breathe a little bit and just like enjoy the game. Like, take a step back, or if you need to step away from the game, do that. If you're not having fun, play at your own pace. Like, that's the advice. Like, it don't matter. There's a kingdom out there for casual players, for hardcore players. You'll eventually find a good place for you to be, but don't, overexert yourself and get burnt out a game and lose love for the game. Because ultimately we want you to have fun playing something that's supposed to bring you joy. So those are my 10 tips. Hopefully you enjoyed a very long video. I was very thorough with my tips, I think, just in just giving it to you. I really tried to dissect it. I probably spent a little bit too much time on civilizations, but I know that's a big one, right? Civilizations is a really big one. You're a wonderful person. I hope this information helped you. See you in the next video.